What's up, YouTube? It's Logan, the Drunken Metalhead who muses, and tonight we are quickly approaching 420, and I wanted to highlight a current album from 2023 that kind of shows off what stoner and the stoner doom genres have in store from the current year. So I'm talking about Acid King's latest album, Beyond Vision. Get toked up, crack a beer, and let's dive in. To get behind the scenes and see what we got in the background, this is the band Stone from the Sky from France. They are an instrumental heavy psych band, and they definitely play on the soft, heavy dynamics as well as fairly riff heavy. Highly recommend them. This is their album Fuck the Sun from 2017. Alright, and now on to the more important details. So, to pair with Acid King's recent album, I'm deciding to stick with my 420 beer sponsor, Sweetwater Brewing. And this is their beer, the G13 IPA, and it's a 420 strain, if you will. So this is the G13 strain of hops, and it's meant to be extra skunky and extra dank. Yep, I mean the main thing I get is the smell. It's very smooth, a little skunky in the taste as well, and a little grassy, but mainly it fits the vibe of the music. It's low-key, but still packs a wallop when it wants to. Cheers. So leading up to this album right here, Beyond Vision, we kind of do have to acknowledge that it was kind of pinned as a departure for Acid King. They were not going to focus on being as heavy, and instead it was going to be more of an instrumentally based sonic output. So you definitely have to consider that when diving into this album. They were also going to shy away from a passing semblance of structure to the songs. The question is, how is it retained by the listener, and specifically by me? So to consider how it lands, you kind of have to think about two things. First, where does it stack up in relative to Acid King's discography? And second, how does it stack up to the listener's expectations? So, first, I definitely agree with my previous statement that it is a departure. If you listen to their previous album that came out in 2015, Middle of Nowhere, Center of Everywhere, there's no denying that there are a lot more structured songs, that overall the sound is a lot more akin to their classic output, and it's just overall heavier. So knowing this about Middle of Nowhere, one has to think that Acid King were kind of tired of the sound that they had built up and were really looking to change. I mean, you have to think about the fact that from 2015 to 2023, that's 8 years. 8 years to grow and to think about your next move. So I'm pretty sure this is 100% the album that they wanted to make. One that is more devoid of individual song structures and wants to focus on creating an atmosphere that carries throughout the whole album. So then that begs the question, if you, the listener, go in with Bousset Woods or even Middle of Nowhere, Center of Everywhere in mind as far as Acid King's latest output, will you be disappointed? I think yes. I think if that's like what you're actually looking for, you might be. So I think it's best to have your expectations be at a different level and to be more focused on what Acid King wants you to be focused on, which in this case is those shifting dynamics between soft and heavy, and really how they build the album from start to finish. I mean, almost look at the album as a whole cohesive piece of music versus individual songs. So now to touch on the actual album itself, Beyond Vision. I would say it succeeds in its goal to be distinct from Acid King's previous albums, and also in being more of an instrumental effort in really capturing the listener's attention from the beginning to the end of the album. It's immediately enthralling and very psychedelic atmosphere. It holds off on being heavy till just the right moment, and when it launches this heaviness on you, it immediately stands out, and that's kind of what sticks with you through the duration of the album, are the actual doomy moments that appear. So the moments in between this stoner doom heaviness are very much drenched in repetitive psychedelia and building up just an atmosphere that you can kind of get lost in. And I mean, it definitely works to a certain extent. I think if I were to have a complaint, it is with how the overall album is structured. It is definitely not even quality all the way throughout. I think it starts off at a high point and then kind of slopes down, and then through the middle it kind of continues to maintain a downward slope, and then towards the end it picks back up, which makes kind of like an uneven listening. And especially when you're like thinking back upon the music that you've heard, you're easily able to recall the first two tracks and the last two tracks, but then the middle you kind of get a little bit lost in, and you're like, well, when did this song start and when did this one end, and what were they doing here? And you kind of just lose your footing in the context of the album. So now let's highlight those good and bad qualities I was talking about with actual individual songs. I want to mention the track 2, Mind's Eye. That song is just kick-ass. So it kind of blends seamlessly into their introductory, like 3-minute instrumental track, One Light Second Away, and just really continues to build on it until it finally caves into this crushing doom metal riff and just a beautiful solo that comes overarching the whole thing. As soon as you get to that point, you're like, I am here, I am experiencing this album. It might be the best song on the whole album. The track 3, 90 Seconds, kind of continues to maintain this trajectory, and the vocals are still included here as they were included on Mind's Eye. Gotta mention that. But then it kind of starts to taper off, and instead of building to anything, 90 Seconds kind of ends in a downward slope, which segues into what I would establish as the middle part of the album, which is just a lull, if you will. And Electromagnetic is kind of the track I'm talking about. It's over 8 minutes long and could probably be about half of that song length. It doesn't necessarily go anywhere. It's a lot of heavy percussion that kind of just fades out, and really not much else in between. When it finally gets heavy and the beat drops, you're into it, but then from Electromagnetic it drops you into Destination Psych, which is another interlude track, completely instrumental. So 2 fully instrumental songs back to back, and then to track 6, Beyond Vision, it maintains more of a slow build from there, though the vocals are added back as well. Which, I have to say, the vocals are not the priority. Like, you should not get hung up on whether or not vocals are on the songs that you're listening to. It's more meant to be as an extra addition to an instrumental album than, an expectation. The main reason I bring up the fact of vocals is because the final track, Color Trails, is the second strongest on the album and really picks up the momentum and ends the release on a high note. And it's fully instrumental, no vocals. it very much relies on a trade-off between guitar and drums, and then at the very end, both of them working together to build to a more post-rock mixed with psychedelia, like climactic finish. It's epic, and it's definitely what Acid King is all about. So with that, where does it lead the album? Is it a worthy addition to the discography? I mean, I definitely say it is. I like what it does with the established Acid King sound, and I think even despite its issues with the flow of the middle of the album, the strengths on either side, as well as just the overall quality, because I mean the middle is still good. You're still enjoying yourself, you're just not able to retain the same amount of attention that you do on either end. But because of that, I think Beyond Vision is very worthy, and especially when you're looking at a band that has an established sound, whenever it wants to change that sound, I mean, I think it should be applauded, or at least taken with a little bit of a grain of salt and just met with different expectations. And I think when looking through that lens, Beyond Vision is a success. As far as rating goes, tonight on Drunken Metalhead Reviews, I give Beyond Vision by Acid King 7.8 out of 10. It is a worthy addition to any Stoner Doom fans' 2023 listenings. Will it appeal to people on the outside of this genre? I don't think so. Will it alienate some Acid King fans? Possibly. Will it appeal more to others that might be tired of their current trajectory? Yes. So, cheers to Acid King for doing what they're doing, but with a different twist. And cheers to you. Thank you for watching.